20-year-old tractor can start instantly build air pressure and pull a trailer across a parking lot while its most expensive problems are still hidden. The exhaust system may be simple. The rest of the truck has been exposed to 2 decades of heat, vibration, weather, road salt, heavy loads, and postponed repairs. The first concern is not whether the engine runs, it is how much life remains in the engine and everything connected to it. A tractor with 900,000 miles may still have strong oil pressure and clean exhaust at idle. Then it reaches a long grade with 80,000 pounds behind it. Oil consumption increases, blow-by becomes more noticeable. The turbocharger struggles to build boost. A marginal injector creates more heat in one cylinder. A cooling system that looked acceptable in the yard can no longer remove enough heat under load. The engine may not fail that afternoon. It may simply begin charging the owner for every mile. The odometer also tells only part of the story. A truck may have a replacement engine, but the transmission, clutch, driveshaft, differentials, frame, and cab still carry the original mileage. A rebuilt engine does not reset the age of the chassis. A transmission that shifts cleanly in an empty yard can slip when the trailer is loaded. A clutch can hold during a short road test and begin to chatter after a full day of backing, pulling, and stopping. Universal joints, carrier bearings, axle seals, and wheel bearings can all reach the end of their service life at roughly the same time. That is how a low-cost engine purchase turns into a drivetrain repair program. Then there is corrosion. Road, salt, and moisture do not need a visible hole to create an expensive problem. They work behind battery boxes, inside frame crossmembers, around cab mounts, through wiring connectors, and under layers of dirt near the rear suspension. Rust around a ground connection can create voltage loss. Rust around a brake line can create a safety issue. Rust around a spring hanger or frame section can turn a routine inspection into a structural repair. The outside of the cab can look presentable while the truck underneath is slowly losing strength. A 20-year-old cooling system deserves the same suspicion. Radiator tubes can become restricted. The charge air cooler can leak. Hoses become hard at the ends and soft in the middle. A water pump seal begins to seep. A fan clutch engages too late. The surge tank develops a crack that only opens when the system is hot and pressurized. The temperature gauge may stay in its normal position until the truck reaches a mountain pass. That is the dangerous part. Overheating is not always a single repair. One hot event can damage a head, weaken a gasket, affect cylinder liners, and turn a manageable cooling problem into an engine problem. Electrical age creates another layer of uncertainty. A truck without a diesel particulate filter can still have brittle insulation, corroded connectors, weak grounds, damaged battery cables, and a harness rubbing against a bracket for thousands of miles. The fault may appear only when the engine is hot, the cab is tilted, or the truck hits a rough section of road. The engine may shut down once and restart before the tow truck arrives. The instrument panel may flicker only when the headlights and heater are running together. The starter may drag on a cold morning. The alternator may charge normally at the shop and fail under vibration. A replacement wire may be spliced into an old harness with a crimp connector that was never sealed from moisture. These problems are difficult because the failure is not always present when someone is looking for it. The same aging applies to the parts that keep the tractor pointed straight and connected to the road. Kingpins wear, tie rod ends develop play, drag links loosen, spring pins and suspension bushings deteriorate. Shocks lose control, steering gears leak or develop excess movement. The symptoms begin as uneven tire wear, a wandering steering wheel, or a tractor that requires constant correction in crosswinds. At highway speed, that is not a comfort complaint. It is a safety and fatigue problem. Brake chambers, air valves, slack adjusters, hoses, drums, and wheel seals also need inspection. A truck can have a dependable engine and still be a poor business asset if it cannot stop consistently, pass a safety inspection, or keep its tires aligned. This is where unknown maintenance becomes more dangerous than ordinary wear. A documented repair is easy to price. An undocumented repair is a question. Was the engine rebuilt correctly? Were the correct bearings installed? Was the cooling system flushed? Was the transmission replaced with the right ratio? Were warning lights repaired or simply disconnected? Did the previous owner replace a failing harness or run a new wire around the problem? You may not inherit the original failure. You may inherit the previous owner's shortcut. A cheap tractor becomes especially dangerous when several systems are approaching failure together. One set of tires is manageable, one clutch is manageable, one cooling repair is manageable. But if the truck needs tires, steering work, a clutch, batteries, and a radiator during the first few months, the owner is no longer buying a truck. The owner is funding a recovery project. The purchase price may have been $25,000 below a newer alternative. That difference can disappear through repeated downtime, emergency labor rates, towing, and parts bought without time to compare prices. Worse, the owner may not have enough cash left to complete the repairs properly. Then deferred maintenance continues. The truck runs with worn tires because the tire bill is too large. The cooling leak is monitored instead of repaired. The steering play is postponed until the next inspection. Each decision preserves cash for one more load, while reducing the margin for the next failure. That is how the original savings become a cycle. Fuel economy adds a cost that does not wait for a breakdown. Suppose an older tractor averages 6 miles per gallon while a newer tractor averages 7 on the same type of work. Over 100,000 miles, the older truck uses roughly 2,400 additional gallons. At $4 per gallon, that is about $9,600. The exact difference depends on the engine, gearing, load, terrain, and driver. But even a small efficiency gap compounds every week. A cheaper truck can spend its purchase price advantage at the fuel pump without ever turning on a warning light. Newer equipment also buys more than a newer engine. A modern cab is usually quieter. The seat, suspension, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning are designed to reduce the physical cost of spending 10 hours behind the wheel. Reduced vibration and better climate control do not show up on a parts invoice, but they affect fatigue, concentration, and how long a driver can work safely. Newer tractors may also offer electronic stability control, collision warning, automatic emergency braking, lane departure warnings, improved lighting, and better visibility. The exact equipment depends on the model and specification, but these systems can reduce risk and help a carrier meet the expectations of certain customers and insurers. A pre-diesel particulate filter truck does not offer that advantage simply because its engine is familiar. Warranty coverage changes the financial calculation as well. A newer tractor is not automatically reliable, and a warranty does not cover every failure. But when qualifying powertrain or emissions components fail under coverage, the owner may be protecting thousands of dollars that an older truck must absorb alone. The newer truck may have a larger payment. The older truck may have a smaller payment and a larger number of unpredictable payments. For an owner-operator, predictable costs can be more valuable than a low monthly number. The newer truck can also open work that the older one cannot. Some fleets, ports, cities, insurers, and shippers set equipment age or emissions requirements. Some customers want newer safety equipment or electronic reporting capability. A tractor that cannot enter the customer's facility, qualify for the load, or operate on the required route has no value on that particular job. It does not matter how strong the engine sounds in the driveway. Parts availability creates another trap for buyers who assume that a famous engine makes the entire truck easy to support. Common service parts for a Caterpillar, Detroit diesel or Cummins engine may still be widely available. Model-specific parts can be a different story. A cab control wiring harness, gauge cluster, air conditioning component, hood section, suspension bracket, or transmission control may require a special order, a used part, or a search through several salvage yards. The part may exist, but not in your region, not at the price you expected, and not when the truck is supposed to be hauling. A week spent waiting for a small model-specific component can cost more than the component itself. That is why brand mythology is a poor inspection method. A familiar engine name is not a maintenance record. A polished valve cover is not an oil analysis. A seller's story about how an engine is known to run forever does not tell you whether this particular engine has correct coolant chemistry, good compression, healthy injectors, or a properly documented rebuild. The same engine family can be an excellent tool in one tractor and a financial liability in another. Condition has to be proven on the actual truck. That means inspecting it cold, not after the seller has warmed it before you arrive. It means checking startup behavior, oil pressure, blow-by, coolant pressure, charging voltage, air leaks, steering play, brake condition, tire wear, frame corrosion, wheel seals, and transmission operation under load. It means comparing the engine serial information and chassis records with the invoices. It means finding out whether the engine mileage differs from the chassis mileage. It means paying an independent technician to inspect the truck before money changes hands. The inspection is not an expense added to the purchase. It is the part of the purchase that tells you what you're actually buying. The pre-diesel particulate filter advantage is real, but it is narrower than the sales pitch. It can remove one expensive and complicated system from the truck. It cannot remove wear from the bearings, rust from the frame, play from the steering, age from the wiring, or neglect from the cooling system. A truck without a diesel particulate filter cannot have a diesel particulate filter problem, but a 20-year-old truck can have 20 years worth of other problems. The smart owner-operator is not the person who automatically buys old. It is the person who buys verified condition, has the cash to handle the condition that remains, and confirms that the truck can earn money on the work available. Even a mechanically sound tractor can lose that calculation outside the repair shop. A truck can be mechanically capable of hauling freight and still be a bad business asset if it cannot legally reach the work. That legal question can erase the savings before the truck ever reaches a repair shop. Picture an owner-operator based in Nevada hooked to a dry van in Las Vegas, headed for a customer near the port of Long Beach. The tractor starts easily, the air pressure builds, the engine pulls cleanly through the desert, but if that truck does not meet the emissions requirements for the operation, or the customer will not accept its equipment, the load can end at the gate, the engine's mechanical condition no longer matters. The truck is capable of hauling the freight, but it cannot access the freight. That does not mean every factory-built pre-diesel particulate filter truck is automatically forbidden everywhere in California. It means you cannot buy one and assume the map is open. California's truck and bus regulation is the reason for most affected heavy-duty diesel vehicles operating in California. The basic working assumption is 2010 or newer engine technology, unless a specific exemption or approved compliance option applies. Those exceptions are limited and can depend on the vehicle, the operation, the mileage, the fleet, and the current version of the rule. A low-use operation may be treated differently from a truck running daily freight. Agricultural operations may have different provisions. Compliance options can change. That is why a buyer must verify the current requirements before committing to the truck, not after the purchase, not after accepting a California load. Before, there's also an important distinction that sellers sometimes blur. A factory-built pre-diesel particulate filter truck was originally certified with the emissions equipment that belonged to its engine design and model year. It was built that way at the factory. A newer truck that had its diesel particulate filter removed, its sensors bypassed, its software altered, or other required emissions controls tampered with, is not a pre-diesel particulate filter truck. It is a newer truck that no longer matches its certified configuration, that can violate federal or state law. It can cause inspection problems, registration problems, and enforcement problems. Depending on the jurisdiction and the alteration, the truck may be illegal for highway use. A listing that says the truck is deleted is not offering a legal emission strategy, it is offering a warning. The same warning applies to phrases such as emissions-friendly, off-road only, or no regeneration issues. Those descriptions may hide missing parts, altered software, or a truck that cannot legally perform the work the buyer intends to perform. The factory configuration matters. The engine model year matters even more than the year printed on the truck listing. A tractor advertised as a 2009 may have a different engine model year. A 2006 chassis may have received a replacement engine. A 2011 cab may sit over an older engine. The title, door sticker, hood, and seller's advertisement may all point to the chassis or cab year. For the emissions conversation, the engine model year is the starting point. Verify it from the engine data plate, the engine serial number, the manufacturer's records, and the service documents. If the engine has been replaced, find out exactly what was installed and whether the replacement changed the truck's compliance status. Do not assume that a newer-looking truck has newer emissions technology. Do not assume that an old-looking truck is automatically excluded. The engine has to be identified before the rule can be applied. Now translate that into business language. Suppose your regular work includes California ports, distribution centers, or customers that require compliant equipment. A pre-diesel particulate filter tractor may be perfectly capable of pulling the same trailer as a newer truck, but if it cannot enter the destination, the available freight shrinks immediately. You may lose the load. You may have to deadhead around the restricted area. You may accept a cheaper local load instead of the higher-paying trip. You may also lose the return load because the truck cannot reach the market where the backhaul begins. That is how a legal restriction becomes a utilization problem. Insurance, registration, parking, loan payments, and maintenance reserves continue whether the truck is loaded or sitting. If the equipment limits you to fewer lanes, those fixed costs are spread across fewer productive miles. The truck did not break down, it simply earned less. Ports and government rules are only part of the map. Private companies can impose stricter requirements than the law. A shipper may require a certain emission standard. A facility may restrict older tractors because of idling rules, safety policies, or corporate environmental targets. An insurance carrier may ask for newer safety equipment. A broker may have customers who will not accept equipment beyond a certain age. Meeting the government requirement does not guarantee access to every private facility. Failing the government requirement guarantees another problem. Before buying, write down the actual work you expect to run, list the states, ports, terminals, distribution centers, border crossings, and recurring customer facilities. Then separate 3 questions. Can the truck legally operate there? Will the customer accept it there? Can the truck reach the next profitable load from there? Those are different questions. A truck may be legal on a particular route, but rejected by the facility. It may be accepted by the customer, but unable to qualify for the return freight. It may work well in a regional operation that never enters California and become a serious liability for a carrier that crosses the state twice a week. This is why the same pre-diesel particulate filter tractor can be a smart purchase for one owner and a poor purchase for another. For a strictly regional operator in an area with no comparable restrictions, The simpler engine may reduce repair complexity and make troubleshooting easier. The owner may know the local freight, the local shops, and the local inspection requirements. For an operator who depends on California, port work, or national lanes, access may be worth more than mechanical simplicity. The calculation is not based on the purchase price alone. Compare the old truck's price with the revenue from the work it can actually perform. Then include the value of the lanes it cannot serve, the extra empty miles, the time spent searching for acceptable loads, and the discount required when it is eventually sold. A truck that costs less but forces you into lower-paying freight may have a higher cost per productive mile than the truck with the larger payment. The verification process should be as specific as the route plan. Get the engine model year in writing. Match the engine serial number to the records. Confirm the original emissions configuration. Look for evidence that factory equipment has been removed or altered. Ask the seller whether the truck has operated in California and under what compliance status. Then check the current requirements with the California Air Resources Board or another qualified compliance professional. Do not rely on an old forum post, a broker's assumption, or a seller who says the rule is not enforced anymore. Rules change. Exemptions have conditions. A truck that qualified under a previous owner's operation may not qualify under yours. If California freight is central to your business, ask the customer port or terminal for its equipment requirements before you buy. Written confirmation is more valuable than a confident answer over the phone. So is a factory-built pre-diesel particulate filter truck genuinely the more profitable and reliable choice? Sometimes it can be. When the engine history is verified, the truck is mechanically sound, the operation is regional, and the available freight does not depend on restricted markets. But for an owner-operator whose income depends on California, ports, or customers with equipment requirements, the apparent simplicity can be overwhelmed by lost access. The truck may avoid one category of emission system repair while creating rejected loads, deadhead miles, and lower utilization. The real advantage is not having the oldest or simplest truck. It is having a truck that gives you control over where you can work and how predictably that work pays.